Everything the government doesn't like is racism. We know that, right? Trudeau calls lockdown critics racist, remember?
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other.
Des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination,
qui sont extrémistes,
qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi.
The health minister called people who wanted the border closed to people from the Wuhan flu hotspots in the beginning of the pandemic racist as well.
Are you concerned about racism?
It absolutely concerns me, Wendy, because in fact the risk remains low for Canadians, and we've done a fabulous job collaboratively with the provinces and territories and at the local level to contain the disease, to ensure that we're doing the appropriate tracking. And again, it's a very low risk to Canadians. So when I hear that Chinese Canadians are being targeted based on either their sort of ethnicity or any other reason, it reminds me of the time that the Chinese Canadian community had during the SARS epidemic.
Even Jewish MPs can be Nazis as long as those Jewish MPs are conservative. Remember this?
When did the Prime Minister lose his way? When did it happen?
You're right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Conservative Party members can stand with people who wave swastikas. They can stand with people who wave the Confederate flag.
Even your car horn is a tool of the SS, according to a Liberal MP.
Nazi flags does it take? How many donors from the Capitol riots, it's 1,100 and counting, who have donated to these illegal blockades? How many guns need to be seized? How much vitriol do we have to see of honk honk, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler?
Anyway, if everything is racism, that, of course, demands anti-racism policies. For you, but not for the leader of the country who wore blackface so many times he lost track, nor for the MPs who think it's fine for a blackface aficionado to lead the Liberal Party of Canada. Oh no, they aren't racist, you are. And if you aren't racist, well, you still are, because of unconscious bias or internalized racism. There's no escaping the forced racism re-education at the hands of the state. Today, I have an enormous access to information document package from the Canadian Border Services Agency on their unconscious bias training. Our access to all of these documents was made possible through your crowdfunding donations to our special website at rebelinvestigates.com. So thank you to all of you who made this story possible. Now, normally I don't have a lot of empathy for government employees. They're usually insulated from reality, but my heart oozes for the CBSA staff who just want to do their jobs and keep Canadians safe. If only the Liberals would let them. On page 64, the border agents are told they can't say stopped when they are quite literally stopping a traveler because that's to, quote, police force type language. But again, they are literally committing the act of stopping a traveler, and they are a quasi-police force. They're the border police, right? Why wouldn't they use police-type language? Anyways, let's keep going. This next one, I might giggle a little bit in it because it is so stupid. Let's read it. Page 66. Does unconscious bias apply to non-human factors like a plane and a shipping container? The answer, bias might affect how we process a shipping container. But in this course, we're talking about racial profiling, so I'm not sure planes and shipping containers are strong examples. These people are so scared of being labeled a racist that they are seriously contemplating what race an airplane is and what race a sea can is. That's what we've come to. Let's keep going. Page 72, they try to explain what unconscious bias is here, but frankly, it just leaves me a little bit more confused. Let's read it. Unconscious bias is like going to lunch at the cafeteria because you're busy at work instead of trying a new restaurant. What? Going to lunch at the cafeteria because you're busy at work is a good use of your time, a responsible use of your time. albeit I don't work in a government union, so maybe that's not a consideration for them, but I don't know how this explains unconscious bias to me or anybody else. Let's keep reading. Page 533. Remember, I told you there were a lot of documents to read through. Yeah, we're on 533. The Border Guards Union says their members are complaining about how racist this racial profiling training is. You know, they might not be wrong. Let's keep going. Page 565. Questions are being raised about why this training is being contracted out when CBSA people will have to provide all the materials for it. I guess the contention is that this is a make work project for an outside contractor when it seems as though the agency itself is doing all the legwork in the first place. Now, why? Why would anybody like me think that this bias training is a bit of a scam? Anyway, let's keep reading. Page 637. Everyone basically stops taking this whole thing seriously at this point because here's the communication. Could you provide the correct answers or send the link to the storyboard? That will make it easier for us to pass the quiz. Friend, no one passes these courses because they come from a presupposed position that you are always racist, no matter how unracist you are. That's why they call it unconscious bias. It's just alleged to be there, no matter what you actually do or say or think. Let's keep going. Page 463. We see a document regarding a meeting with Ottawa police about racial profiling policies, and they warn the CBSA about how nonsensical all this training is. Look at this. They, however, warned that the policy itself hasn't done much for them. It is a nice to have, but in reality, the work happens in the field. Ottawa police also warned them how expensive the anti-bias training consultants they and Toronto and the BC RCMP have hired are to the taxpayer. Now, friends, there's one anti-bias training course that I wish the Ottawa police had undergone, and that's training to alleviate their anti-free speech, anti-peaceful protester bias, because those cops were pretty eager to call in the pepper sprayers and the riot control horses over a bunch of bouncy castles and street parties with the convoy to Ottawa. Now, I'm not quite done with this access to information filing yet. I've got close to 700 pages here, but I really want to know what all of this costs. Because as you can see, and as I pointed out, there's a point at which in all of this, even the truest believers in this sort of nonsense, well, they quit taking it seriously. But we should take it seriously. The amount of money wasted on these make work, do nothing projects, it's atrocious. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to try to find the contract for this training and report the obscene amount of it back to you. None of this is possible without your support to a very special crowdfunding website for our investigative journalism. I already mentioned it. It's rebelinvestigates.com. We don't get money from Justin Trudeau, and we would never take it anyway. We rely on the support of our viewers at home to help us ask the questions we think our viewers want answers to. So if you want to help us do that, it's really easy. Just go to rebelinvestigates.com. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.